Hello and welcome to another episode of Create, Lead, Live. I'm Emily Wilkes and I'm really grateful that you've been able to join me for today's session. Today I'm going to be talking all about how to have more confidence. And I want to chat to you about this because it's probably one of the number one things that people say to me that they're looking for when they come to work with me. And I think it's something which we all know and all recognize is something which can help us in our lives to feel more confident and to feel as though we have more trust and faith in ourselves. And so it's something that we all value and something that we're all looking for. But really, what does it mean to have more confidence? And I really want to, explore a different perspective on this, which is that confidence isn't something that we learn or isn't necessarily something that we develop through practice or it's not something that we've been taught to do. It's something that we actually have access to inherently as part of being human, as part of our human spirit and our human connection to the universe. Is we actually have this inherent confidence within us, and that one of the challenges that we face when it comes to confidence is that disconnection from it. So it's there all the time, but sometimes we lose our connection to that confidence and we start to believe that we're not confident, even though we have access to it within us all the time. And I want to use an example of this. So just imagine you're experiencing something challenging or difficult, or something which is really bringing up some emotion for you. And you share it with someone close to you, a loved one or someone that you trust, and they start telling you what you should be doing in the situation. They start telling you how they think you should handle it, or the kinds of strategies that you could use to manage it better or to move through whatever it is that's coming up for you. How do you respond in that situation? Usually what happens when someone tells us what we should be doing or how we could be approaching something as an alternative to what we're doing is we start to resist it. We start to put up barriers. We start to tell ourselves, hang on, this doesn't feel right. We start to reject it and kind of defend ourselves, or say, let the other person know that what they're suggesting or, the ways in which they're trying to help us are not necessarily going to work for us. Or we bite our tongue and we don't say it. We kind of nod our head in agreement with the other person, but all the while inside ourselves, we're saying, no, that doesn't feel like a good fit for me. And the reason for this is because we know inside ourselves what is best for us. We have an inherent kind of guidance system which helps us to know what we need to do and when. And sometimes when we feel disconnected from it, we start to have those low feelings, or we feel concerned or worried or, fearful about the future or doubting ourselves. And those, we express those feelings to someone else, but as soon as they start telling us that they know best or that they think that they have the answers that we need, we put up walls, we put up barriers, because when someone else tells you what to do, it disconnects you from your own inner connection, from your own inner guidance system. It disempowers us because what the other person is inadvertently saying is that they know best for us, instead of us knowing best for us. And this is one of the values of coaching in many ways, is helping us to kind of reconnect with our own inner guidance system, our own answers to our own challenges, rather than feeling as though we're not doing something right or we're going down the wrong path. It actually helps us to see what we have available to us already. And so this is one of the reasons why this is such an important topic. Confidence is such an important topic because we all want to be able to access it more readily and more often. And the processes that we often use to connect with that confidence can sometimes actually take us off track. They can lead us to feeling less confident. They can lead us to feeling more doubting within ourselves and within our own inner resources. And the reason that these approaches sometimes take us down the wrong path is because what we do and what we've been taught by society is actually to look outside ourselves for the answers. You know, the number one thing that we all do when faced with a problem or a challenge or something which comes up is, you know, what do? We Google it, or we go and we ask someone, or we, you know, look for some kind of resource outside of ourselves that will give us the solution to our problem. And we do this not because this is, you know, the best path forward. We do it because we've been taught to do this. We do it because we're taught to reach outside ourselves for the answers. But we never find that kind of approach satisfying. We don't find it satisfying because it doesn't build our sense of self-efficacy. We find what we're looking for, which is advice. We find people that will happily give us advice and guidance on what we should be doing or how we should be approaching things. But this doesn't build our confidence. It doesn't give you necessarily the skills or the ideas or the insights and wisdom that you need to be able to feel confident as you move forward. Often what it does is it leaves you to feeling less confident because you feel like you're not doing the right thing, or you think that by someone else's standards that you're not necessarily moving forward in the acceptable way or the accepted way. And so this tendency that we have to look outside ourselves for the answers is actually a learned tendency. We learn it from our parents as we grow up. We learn it from our school, like from the way that we're taught, from society, and the way that we approach things is always looking outside ourselves to be judged on how we're going, on how things are actually working for us, and whether or not we need to tweak and change things as judged by someone else's standards. And all of this does is serve to disconnect us from that inner wisdom and confidence within us. And so what I'm really suggesting to you is that you already have this confidence within you, and that part of this process of feeling more confident is really about reconnecting with that inner wisdom within you, and us reaching out less for reassurance and guidance outside ourselves, and actually tapping into our own inner knowledge and wisdom. So this is a really powerful tool for you to have in your back pocket to always be thinking about is, am I turning outside myself here for guidance from outside, from others, from the external world? Or am I actually relying on myself here? Am I actually turning within and connecting with that wisdom and confidence within me to help me to know what the next step is, or to help guide me in what the next step is? Now, that is not to say that you don't, take guidance and wisdom from outside yourself. It's not about that. It's about starting within. It's about tuning within you to kind of figure out what it is that you're looking for and what you're needing, and then going outside. Because what happens when we turn outside without first turning within is we find ourselves bombarded. We talk to every person and his dog about what we should be doing. We get 10 different versions of how we should be approaching things, or how we could be approaching things, and we end up more confused. We end up more uncertain. We end up more doubting of ourselves. And so turning within first helps us to kind of really refine what it is that's, troubling us, what we're looking for, how we want things to be, and then enables us to be more discerning about the kinds of information that we take in from the outside world. So these are ideas, I guess, to help you to kind of really tune within yourself and really connect with that wise place within yourself first before you actually go outside looking for the answers. One of the things that can happen, which can be really useful, is to think about the internal lessons and beliefs that we hold, that we've learned over the years, that actually prevent us from connecting with this part of ourselves. So one of the beliefs that we hold that prevents us from connecting with our inner wisdom is a belief that we're the problem, that there's something we're doing that's wrong, that we're messing something up, or that there's something missing from what we're doing that's preventing us achieving the result or the outcome or the desire that we're looking for in the outside world. And so this belief about our inner world being responsible for our outer world, or our inner flaws or faults or problems or failings being responsible for what we're seeing, is we start to doubt that inner wisdom within us. So we've got this belief that kind of covers up that confidence. So instead of us hearing that confidence voice, we hear that voice within us that says, you're messing this up. This isn't quite working. You're doing something wrong here. You need someone else to help you. You need someone else to guide you because you're not doing it right, or you're not, solving this problem on your own. There's clearly something wrong here. And so what happens is this belief that we hold disconnects us from that belief and trust in ourselves. So instead of asking for ourselves for that inner guidance, or believing that we can solve the problem, or we can find a solution, or we can be innovative and creative within ourselves, is we start to discount that belief and that faith and trust in ourselves, and we start to grab for the beliefs which support the idea that we're the ones that are failing, or we're, unable to solve our own problems. And so it's really useful for us to come back to, well, what am I believing here which is preventing me connecting with that inner confidence? The other one, besides believing that we're failing, or we're doing something wrong, or we're not good enough, is this external belief of the world is failing me, of the world is where the problem lies. And what we then do when we believe, or we externalize our problems or our challenges, we push them outside ourselves and we say, this is nothing to do with me. And then we kind of we try to push away those really uncomfortable feelings that we're having. We start to believe that we can't deal with the problems and challenges which are coming up in our lives. We don't want to deal with them. We want to bury our head in the sand. Ultimately this message that we're sending to ourselves when we do this, when we push our problems away, or we push those challenges away and try to bury our head in the sand, is we're telling ourselves we don't have the resources to cope with what's happening, and so it's better to not deal with it. It's better to kind of turn away from it and pretend things are okay, or to just distract ourselves with something else. And so inherently the message again is that I don't have the resources within me to deal with this. I don't have the resources within me to cope. I don't have the resilience to, we're not necessarily consciously telling ourselves this, but when we bury our head in the sand and we start pushing things away, we're doing it because we're telling ourselves we can't cope with whatever comes, whatever happens, whatever flows into our lives. And so really confidence is not about feeling good all the time and having things always work out. Confidence is really about knowing that you can manage whatever happens, knowing that you have the inner resources and resilience to be able to ride the ups and downs, to ride the roller coaster of life, to be able to weather the storms which come in, to be able to know that you can find your way through anything which comes your way. And so this inherent confidence that you have is actually about reconnecting with you're here, you've weathered all kinds of ups and downs before. You've got through all kinds of challenges in your life before, and you've come out the other side, okay, and often all the better for it, having grown as a person, having learned and gained some value and wisdom and knowledge from the experience. And so it's really, this process of confidence is about reconnecting with that resilience and ability within you to kind of weather the storms, whatever they may be, because you have the inherent abilities to be able to manage the emotions that go with that. And so this process, and I'm going to share a little bit more about some ideas about how you can do this, is really about reconnecting with that inner resilience, that confidence, that trust within you, always coming back to that, always supporting and strengthening that part of yourself through clearing away the stuff which is preventing you accessing it. This confidence is there within you. It absolutely is there within you, but it just sometimes feels like it's not. And it's purely because these beliefs that we hold about where the problem lies and who's responsible and all that sort of stuff cuts us off from being able to access that inner wisdom and confidence within us. So I want to give you an example of this, which can be really helpful. And it is that, we live at the moment out on 3 acres of land, and we have a bunch of magpies which live out the front. And I'm sure you can kind of resonate with this, because wherever you live in the world, there, we come across nature in all of its magic and beauty and wonder. And one of the things that this little family of magpies, remind me of every single day is that they don't overthink things. They don't overcomplicate things. They just go about their daily business. They go about, every morning at the same time. They come out and they look for their worms and they wander around together as a family. They stop and they have a drink from the bird bath, and they do their daily activities. They don't spend their time worrying about what's going to happen or whether there's going to be enough worms for them today or tomorrow. They don't worry about whether they're going to, cross the road at the wrong time and get hit by a car. They don't think about the kinds of things that we think about. They don't worry about the kinds of events that we worry about, or they don't think about the future. They live in the here and now. They live very present in the here and now. They live from their instincts. They trust their instincts. They do what they know how to do. And they they kind of operate in the here and now as if everything they need and want and could desire in their lives is available to them. When they come across a problem or a challenge, do they start over-analysing it and stressing about it and worrying about it? No, they deal with it. Is it pleasant? Do they always come out on top? No, of course they don't. But they deal with it instinctually and instinctively at the time that it happens. And they move through it. They, experience whatever it is, and they get up again and they dust themselves off and they go about their lives. They don't spend time thinking, well, there's a right way to do this or a wrong way to do this, to approach this problem or challenge. They just do what they know to do in that moment. They do their best and they learn from the experience in a way that probably will help them if they encounter it again. They're not necessarily thinking about it for days afterwards. They might, have an emotional reaction in that situation because they remember the event that happened, but they're not going to be thinking about it all day, every day, and worrying about it and stressing about it and trying to kind of build their confidence. Their confidence comes from their inner intuition and their inner learning that they've done over the years of their life thus far. They trust themselves. They lean into the moment and they do what needs to be done and they get on with it. And so I really think there is a lot of value to be gained from looking at nature and the way that nature operates. We spend a lot of time as humans in our heads. We spend a lot of time worrying about things. We spend a lot of time blaming ourselves for what did or didn't happen, or what we did or didn't say, or how we should have said things or done things. We spend a lot of time holding ourselves back, thinking that we need to get things right. The world of nature doesn't necessarily worry about those things. It acts and, learns and then does, better next time, and spends a lot less time kind of in their heads and over analyzing things than what we as humans do. And so it's this tendency that we have to do this, to over analyze and overthink things, that really disconnects us from the instinctual part of ourselves, from that inner wisdom and confidence that we have just by virtue of being human, by being part of nature, being connected to that universal wisdom. And so part of this process is about choosing to and deciding to rely more on that innate intuition that we have, and relying less on our intellectual kind of thought capacity to kind of overthink things and problem solve and spend our time over analyzing. Now, obviously thinking and problem solving is of value to us, but it's the getting stuck there that is where the problem lies. When we start to get stuck there, we become completely disconnected from what our heart is telling us, from what our gut is telling us, from what our instincts are telling us. And so this process is really about letting go of some of that stuff, letting go of some of the clouds that come into our mind, or the beliefs and the thoughts and the expectations that we have of ourselves, and starting to lean into, what am I called to do here? What is my instinctual reaction in this situation? What feels like the right path for me, without thinking about necessarily about how things have to turn out? What feels like the best solution in this problem? What am I really being drawn towards right here? And so this is something that's really useful to be thinking about, is how do we kind of ground ourselves in our intuition and our inner wisdom, and move ourselves a little bit less more out of our heads and into that intuition that we have available to us. I just want to check my notes here in terms of this, just to see if there's anything I wanted to say. Why do we have problems with confidence? It's because we are taught by others that there is a right way to do things. And we all believe this. Like we tend to have this black and white thinking where we think that there's a right way to do things, and we think that we can stuff things up. We think we can make a mess of it. We think we can really make big mistakes. Now, inevitably, there are things that we can do that are better than others, but there is no such thing as this is the right way to do things. There are degrees of, better and worse ways of doing things, but there's no one right way of doing things. Your neighbor can do things in the, totally different way than you, and it's still right. Their version of right is still right. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. And so part of this process is about really trusting ourselves to give things a try, to be willing to make mistakes, to be willing to, trust and have faith in ourselves that we can make mistakes and we'll still be okay. We'll still get through life. We'll learn from it. We'll gain some value from the mistakes we've made. We'll learn how to approach things in a different way next time. But really just trusting where you're at right now, that you're doing the best based on the knowledge and wisdom you have available to you right now. And next time you'll do the best based on the knowledge and wisdom you have available to you right then. And so we don't need to spend as much time kind of trying to get everything right, trying to create a life that is mistake free. Really, the beauty and wonder of life is in trying, in giving things a go, in learning, experiencing life, in finding what works, what doesn't work, in experiencing the full range of emotions that go with the roller coaster of life, and being willing to kind of lean into these, being willing to trust ourselves to manage whatever feelings come up, to know that we have the inner resources and resilience to kind of ride the waves, not just of the experiences we have, but of the emotions which are triggered for us as well. So I think this really, captures in a nutshell the reason why I want to talk about this and why it is such an important topic for us. About having more confidence is really not about building that confidence or learning to have confidence. It's really about tapping into the confidence we already have. Now, I've got 4 points here on how you can do this, how you can really build this sense of connection to your own confidence that already exists within you. And the first one is practicing connecting with your inner wisdom really regularly, like daily if you can, spending time every single day connecting with that inner wisdom within you, finding the tools and techniques which help you to do this. And I touched on some of these last week in our video, and I often talk about these in our videos, the kinds of things that help you connect with your inner wisdom and confidence. I give examples like journal writing, meditation, prayer, going for walks, like all kinds of different activities. Physical activity can be one that helps people connect with their inner wisdom and confidence. Often when you've been for a run or a walk or something outdoors, when you finish, you feel lighter, you feel like some of the heaviness of life is lifted off you, and you start to be able to access that inner wisdom much more readily. And things like listening to music, doing things that bring you joy, spending time with a friend that makes you laugh and have some fun and feel lighter as a result. So there's so many different things, but it's going to be unique to you, is trying and practicing doing this every day, like really practicing connecting with your inner wisdom and confidence. And it's not about making it hard work. It's about doing the things which lighten you and enable you to feel really good, feel really happy and joyful and like free, having that sort of free, relaxed holiday feeling. And then what you will find is that inner wisdom will start to speak to you. You'll hear it. It's speaking to you all the time, but you'll actually start to listen to it and you'll hear it much more loudly because all the chatter in your mind will have fallen away. You'll find that your mind will be more relaxed and at ease. You won't have as many thoughts going through your head and as much kind of overwhelm, I suppose, going on within your mind. So practicing this every day is really powerful. Another technique, the second sort of how-to, which can be really helpful, is about practicing turning within instead of without when things become challenging. And I think it's really good to start with the awareness of this. So one of the things to kind of think about is, and to start noticing, is what you want to do when you feel like you're struggling or when you feel like something's become challenging. What is your tendency? Are you reaching outside yourself for the answers? Are you Googling things? Are you asking other people what you should be doing? Are you debriefing, things with other people all the time, lots of different people, in order to get advice about what you should be doing? And once you've got that awareness, then start to practice saying, well, how can I use what I've been doing, like this practice, this daily practice of connecting with my inner wisdom? How can I do this here in this situation? So not just doing it necessarily in those times when I feel joyful, but how can I help myself to reconnect with that inner wisdom at times when I'm really struggling as well? Like, what can I do to help myself in those times of struggle that will enable me to connect with that wisdom within me, that confidence within me that exists already? And just really practicing this as well, and really just recognizing that you have within you everything you need, but also that turning within helps you to then be discerning about turning then when you go outside yourself, finding the right people or the right advice or guidance, rather than bombarding yourself with everyone and anyone's ideas. The third one is writing down what is coming up for you when you're feeling confident, so that you can come back to these ideas anytime. So one of the things that I get my clients to do a lot, and it's just such a powerful technique, is about thinking about those times when you're really confident, leaning into them, really experiencing those feelings, allowing yourself to connect with what it is that's helped you to feel that, what you've been doing that's helped you to feel confident, what you're telling yourself, what are the stories and the beliefs and the messages that are going through your mind that are supporting that confidence, what are the kinds of things that you're doing that are helping you to really stay connected to that confidence within you. And you write them down. You just write some dot points in the notes on your phone or in your journal, just writing them down, writing the list for yourself that you can come back to anytime in the future. So just a message there that my battery was going flat. So basically it's really about writing them down so you can tap into them at times when you're not feeling so confident. So you can look back and you can say, what did I do that really helped me last time, so that I can start to bring more of that into my life now, into this moment? What can I do that helps me get out of my head right now and into my intuition? How can I get back into that inner wisdom connection? How can I listen a bit more closely to my heart? How can I release the stuff that is disconnecting me from that inner wisdom and lighten the load a little bit? How can I feel more joyful here so my inner wisdom can speak to me more loudly so I can hear it? And just really thinking about, what are those things that I did that helped, and drawing on them again. You are the source of your inner wisdom, and you've done it before, so you can do it again. So this is really about tapping deeply into those resources that you already have, that you've drawn on before, that you can draw on again, and just reminding yourself of those in those more challenging moments. And the final point is self-compassion. Practicing this self-compassion during these times of difficult feelings. So instead of pushing those feelings away, it's about trusting yourself to sit with them, trusting yourself to move through them, trusting yourself to navigate whatever comes. Like being able to have that confidence and connection within you that you can weather all kinds of emotions, and you can do it because you've done it before. You know that you can do it. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes we have really overwhelming emotion, but one of the things that makes it harder to deal with is when we start to push it away. We start to tell ourselves, I shouldn't be feeling this, I shouldn't be feeling this way, or this is hurting me or hindering my progress, rather than actually embracing them and saying, what's my body telling me here? How can I sit with this and feel it? Where is it in my body? What is it actually, what's actually coming up for me here? What is this inner wisdom through my emotions trying to tell me? It might be trying to tell you that you're off course and it's time to adjust and move back in a different direction. And so these feelings, far from being something which is actually hindering you or blocking you or preventing you living the life of your dreams, these feelings are helping you find your way. They're helping you to know when you've stepped over a boundary or when someone stepped over your boundary. These feelings actually tell you everything you need to know about whether or not the path that you're on feels good or not, whether or not there's something that needs to be tweaked and changed and altered so that you feel like you're on track. These feelings within you that make you feel like you're disconnected from your confidence are actually your confidence speaking to you. They're telling you what you need to know, not in words, but in that sensory kind of, experience within your body of, that feeling in the pit of your stomach. Something's not right here. Something doesn't feel right here. How do I navigate this situation? How do I turn within and find what does feel right? How do I find the pathway through this experience, through these feelings and out the other side, so that rather than pushing them down or trying to bury them and not deal with them, trusting yourself and knowing that you have within you everything you need to weather it, to navigate it, and to come out all the better for it on the other side. So those are the 4 points. I really hope that you've found this topic really useful today. I really hope that it's helped you to reconnect with that confidence within you, that inner wisdom that you have, and that sense of faith and trust within yourself that you have everything you need already within you. And that this inner guidance system will help you through anything which comes up, and that it will not only help you to kind of navigate it yourself, but it will help you to find the answers you need outside as well. It will help you to tap into the resources that you need rather than everything. It'll help you streamline things and feel less overwhelmed and, exhausted through the process of asking anyone and everyone what you should be doing. It will help you build that sense of connection with your inner wisdom over time, of trusting and having faith in yourself that you can do this anytime you need to, anytime you want to. So I really hope that it's been powerful for you. I'd love to hear from you any ideas or thoughts or feedback that came up for you from today's session. I want to just finish up by saying, if you are really struggling or you've got emotions coming up which are overwhelming, it's okay to reach out for help. Sometimes that starting point is about reaching out to your GP or a counselor or a psychologist, or someone who's not necessarily going to give you lots of advice, but someone that's going to hold that space for you to navigate what's coming up. They're going to hold that space for you to help you connect with that inner resource within you. It may be a coach, if you, like myself, somebody that's able to kind of really help you to hold that space and capacity to be able to connect with that resource within you. What you will find is that there's people outside of you that will happily give you their advice and guidance, and then there's people that will hold space for you to be able to find that and tap into it yourself. So, think about, for you, if you are able to do it on your own right now, or if you're actually needing someone to hold that space for you, and being willing, I guess, to reach out and find that support if you need it. It can be part of that powerful process of moving through those feelings that you're having and coming out the other side all the better for it. So thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll look forward to speaking with you next time. Until then, take care. Bye.